Welcome to Sweet Dreams Bedtime Stories. I'm Ruthie Hart. Today's story is a familiar story, I'm sure. It's called Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time and long, long ago, a little girl lived with her mother in a pretty cottage on the edge of a deep wood. The mother was a clever needlewoman and made a lovely red cape and hood for her little girl. And because she loved her hooded cape and wore it so much, the child was known as Red Riding Hood. One sunny day, Red Riding Hood's mother called her in from the garden. "I have packed a basket of goodies for your grandmother who is sick," she said, "and I want you to carry it to her. There are a loaf of fresh bread, a chicken, and a spice tart. Not a heavy load, you see. Keep to the path through the wood, with no stopping for flowers, and you should be back home again by supper time." Red Riding Hood stepped out gaily in her red cape, the basket swinging in her arm. At a turn in the path, she turned to wave to her mother, and hurried on into the shadowy wood. It was very still. Her feet made small whispering sounds on the path. High in the treetop, a bird called, and was answered by another from far away. Suddenly, the bushes parted and a big wolf stood in the path, blocking the way. "Good day to you," he said. "And where, may I ask, are you going in such a hurry?" Red Riding Hood did not want the wolf to see how frightened she was, so she smiled and pointed to her basket. "I'm taking some goodies to my grandmother. She lives at the other end of the wood, and I must hurry, so please, Mr. Wolf, may I pass?" The wicked wolf smiled. "It is I who must hurry, Little Riding Hood," he answered. "Goodbye, and perhaps we'll meet again." In a second, he had disappeared among the trees. Propped among her pillows, Red Riding Hood's grandmother thought she heard a timid knock at the door. "Come in," she called, thinking it was her little granddaughter. Instead, in walked the crafty wolf. In one great bite, he swallowed her whole. Then he took one of Granny's fresh nightgowns and a starched cap, put them on, and hopped into bed. He had just pulled the covers up to his chin when there came a knock at the door. He knew it was Little Red Riding Hood. "Come in," he called, trying to make his voice sound like the grandmother's. Red Riding Hood came in quietly and put her basket on the table beside the bed. "How are you feeling today, Granny?" she began. Then she stopped short. "Why, grandmother, what big ears you have!" "Oh, the better to hear you with, my dear," answered the wolf. "But, grandmother, what big, bright eyes you have!" Red Riding Hood stared back into those cruel eyes and shuddered. Indeed, they did not look like Granny's. "The better to see you with, dear child," the wolf spoke softly. "And, grandmother, your teeth! What big, sharp teeth you have!" Red Riding Hood was backing away now. "The better to eat you with," snarled the wolf, and tried to spring from the bed. But the bedclothes tripped him, and Red Riding Hood ran from the house. Before the wolf could pick himself up, she was calling for help to a woodcutter who was sharpening his axe beside the path. When the wolf came plunging from the cottage, the brave woodcutter swung his axe with one mighty blow and killed it. Then he quickly cut the wolf open, and out stepped grandmother, none the worse for her terrible experience. Red Riding Hood and her grandmother thanked the brave woodcutter for his help and asked him to share the basket of delicious lunch with them. Then he walked with Red Riding Hood back to her mother's cottage on the edge of the wood, and there she lived happily for many years and never met another wolf. The end. Now let's snuggle down into your covers and start to relax by taking a deep, deep breath and slowly letting it out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and slowly out once again through your mouth. Breathe in and out and relax. Now let's fold our hands and say a prayer. Lord, unto you I pray, for you have guarded me all this day. Safe I am in your sight, and safely let me sleep tonight. Amen. I'm Ruthie Hart. Good night, and sweet dreams.